We are recording.
We're going to be talking about systems that drive growth. And I don't know that it's just about AI, automation, and tech. I think that building systems that generate growth and revenue for a company actually starts at a more basic level. And so we're going to talk about leadership a little bit today, too. But to start, let me tell you about myself. Everybody here knows me, but I built a career that I'm proud of because I have the support system at home, and there's no way I could have built what I have without my husband. He's been such a pillar of strength for me all these years, and he helps grab the kids when I've got meetings and I can't leave. He grabs the kids when someone's sick, right, and takes them home and cares for them, or takes them to school, so I don't have to do pick up and drop off. So it's just such a nice um, partnership thing there. I'm so grateful for him. The professional journey started about 15 years ago. Well, about 12 years ago of agency ownership, but I think I've been in the insurance industry for close to 15 now. And I put here that I specialize in team growth and leadership. I don't know if that's true as much as I enjoy doing that. That's where I thrive internally. So I might not be the best at it yet, but it's something I'm just loving, and I get so much energy from feeding into others and mentoring people. The past 5 years, we've started to build tech for technology and systems in general for insurance agencies. Now, I'm hoping that this technology we're building, especially with my genius AI engineer business partner, he's building this, I think, to be able to scale into other verticals and other industries because it's basically an operating system in a capsule. So however the insurance world's going to use it, it should also be able to replicate its same effectiveness in other industries. So I'm excited to see what that looks like. But we're going to start with launching in the insurance industry. That should go live at some point this summer, at least beta testing it. So we're pumped about that. And so what I've learned the last 5 years is that technology is how you scale. Um, I believe it's the quickest way to be able to scale. I think there's other pieces to that. My brother used to always say success. People ask, right? What is your secret sauce? And I love his response. He says there's 1,000 ingredients in that one secret sauce. So
Mhm.
yeah, there's one secret sauce. Is there really? No, because there's 1,000 different things it takes to make that thing up. So I love that saying, and I use it a lot now. And so I think the core ingredient to 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 being successful, not just with technology, is leadership. So you got to start there. I believe that if you start with making sure that you understand in your heart of hearts that people are your asset, if all you have is you and your customers, well, then your customers are your asset. But for me, I'm building a team because if I build a team, I have more fingers and hands and feet doing what I'm able to do to help my customers, right? So people are my asset. I can't build technology without their feedback. I can't build technology for someone to run with it and trial it without their buy-in. So I put here before implementing any automation or I believe the first thing you need is to feel the pulse of what your team needs, of what your company needs before you implement anything. Because you don't know what you're looking for. You don't know what you're building unless you look at what the holes are, what the pain points are, what the inefficiencies are within your current operation, right? So here's just a quick example. We started Facebook ads about 6 months ago on the Medicare agency, and we we launched them just not knowing anything about. I know MD is going to be like, "Oh, Brooke, why do you throw money away like that?" And he's right. Why the heck do I do that? I don't know. It grows on trees, right? So we started trialing Facebook ads, and we were getting leads. They were coming in, and we got it moving, and we are really excited about it. And then I realized we weren't closing any of them, right? Because hopefully you're looking at your data. I know I am. So as I'm throwing $500, $1,000,
Mm.
$30,000 into these Facebook ads, I look back at one point and I'm like, ooh, the numbers aren't numbering. You know what I mean? I'm
Right.
like, the data is not trending in the right direction. So what I did was I went back to the team and I'm like, okay, guys, I'm listening to y'all's calls. I'm hearing this. Is this what y'all are feeling? And we talked about it in our sales meeting a couple of different times that the leads were trash, right? The
Mhm.
leads were junk. They were being hung up on. They weren't getting far in the call. And so we changed one little thing after hearing that feedback. And that one little question that we added in the Facebook form itself said, hey, what's the most important thing to you when it comes to your Medicare? And I'm telling you guys that one question changed the entire, return, possibly the better return on that ad, on those ads. And so that one question, come to find out, is what gave us an ammo, is what gave my team an opportunity to regurgitate something back to the client that they saw from something they sent to us, right? So we don't do cold calls at any of our agencies. We actually are only calling on people that we have express written consent to reach out to. And so if they forget by the time we call them that they filled out a Facebook form with intent for us to assist, well, then we have to remind them by giving them something on the form that they filled out for us. And so a more specific question was, what is the most important thing when it comes to your Medicare? And so, I'm sorry, spitting out my gum. I should have done that ahead of time. So that one question allowed us to break down walls. Those first few seconds of the call, we were being hung up on. And that's why, because we had no ammo on the beginning of that call to help build trust immediately. And anybody that's in sales understands that those first few seconds of the call are gold. And if you throw it away, then you have no chance on really being successful in sales, in telesales. You have to be quick. You've got to be trustworthy. You have to be the expert, and you've got to relay all that in the first few seconds of the call. So that one thing changed everything. Why? Because we looked at the data first. The data was like, hey, this isn't trending well. This is not working. You're getting leads, you're not converting. So we went back to the sales process since we were getting the leads and found out from the sales team, feedback from them, we turned around and implemented in the ad itself, changed the success rate completely. So moral of the story, listen to your team, utilize their feedback to help improve processes, systems, technology as you're using it. That is the key. I wanted to start there because no matter what system you build, no matter what, you could build the fanciest technology in the world, but if you can't connect with consumers, and if you're not doing that and your staff is, you need to be feeling, I like to say, make sure you understand and can feel the pulse of your company, which if it's not from you directly to your consumers, it's your team. So make sure that you're meeting with them on a regular basis and hearing them, listening to them, implementing, asking the right questions, and showing them that there's transformation when they work with you as a team, that they're not just working leads you give them and you expect them to work, that you want to transform their experience here. You want them to leave better than when they came in the door, right? You want them to be stronger. You want them to sell more. So listening, that's just leadership 101, listening, building with them. And so I think that's a good foundation for what I'm about to say next, because I believe that is the beginning to any system that you're about to build, any technology you're going to start using or AI you're going to start prompting, is to have those things in place first. One real way we do that, by the way, is meet with our team every Monday and Friday morning at 9 a.m. from 9 to 10. We have a sales meeting. And I'm not in that Friday morning meeting all the time because I'm with you guys in the mastermind group. So I've got somebody else leading those meetings when I'm not there. But that's how you kind of feel the pulse of your team, is making sure that you're meeting with them frequently. So here are some real ways we use automation. Over the next several slides, I'm going to show you like actual ways that we use AI. Automation, technology in general, but I'm not going to show you our tech yet because we started to beta it. We pulled it back because we realized there were some holes and it's being tested again. So I don't have that to show y'all today, but the systems we're using now that are fueling how we're building this technology and why we're building something specific to what's worked well with us currently is what I'm going to show y'all today. So hopefully y'all can get some good tangible things. Shout out to Brandon because Brendan, because it's Brendan, right?
Brandon. Yeah. Brandon with an E. Yeah.
It's Brandon with an E. Okay. Sorry, Brandon. I totally butchered that. But your presentation was awesome because it was so tactical. Is that the right word? Like you gave us tangible things to implement immediately, and I appreciated that. So hopefully today the same thing happens. I do think that most people think AI replaces people. I see that all the time.
Yeah.
AI is not something, automation, AI takes the personal touch away from sales, takes the personal touch away from customer service. And that's simply not true if it's being used right, because it's the goal of it is to help replace repetitive tasks, number one, but also help speed us up and help us become more efficient in areas that we're not. So that's number one. I do think it helps us focus more on relationships and growth, oddly enough, because it connects us to more people. I'm going to show you all the very first slide after this is how we implement automation for our existing client base and why that makes our prospects specifically, how it helps us generate the most prospects. The most interest in a quicker amount of time because we have automation, messaging, emailing, texting these clients for us. So when our staff comes in, they're working the yeses like, hey, yeah, I could use your help. Here it is. So just a quick view. And I think this is huge. So the automation we have to these specific lead sources to protect the privacy of people, I covered their last names. But these are really important. Having different systems that are helping you generate response. Your staff doesn't have to work as hard with contacting every lead that comes in. Right? You're able to specifically get them to respond to something that automation's sending to them based on a request they sent you for. A Facebook ad, a web form, a mailer. We do mailers too. But whenever we get them in our system, automation's messaging them within for the first few minutes of it coming in if our staff can't get to it sooner. And so this is a really easy way to fill their day and their time. Instead of making 300 outbound calls a day, they might only have to make 30. And out of those 30, the contact rate is 60%? Because we're calling 80%? Because we're calling the clients that said, yes, I'm interested. Hey, I do need help with my auto or home insurance. Or, hey, my Medicare, I'm paying an arm and a leg. What's important to me is my copays. I'm paying too much there. Can you save me some money on my copay? So, yeah, I think that's key to making sure that your team is efficient. And yeah, you're talking to more people if you're set up that way, because now your staff is working more our warmer leads. People that are ready to go, that are further down the sales funnel or that sales pipeline. You don't have to be super techie to start implementing because now you have to be willing to learn. That's the thing, right? So if you prompt it and ask it a couple of questions, specifically tell me how to prompt you in this way, and you're willing to learn the things that you learn after using it, it becomes, you become unstoppable. So you just have to be willing to learn. You don't have to be super techie. I always tell people, you don't have to be techie. You just have to be willing to learn. Can you learn? If you can learn, then you can be great with AI. You just have to be open-minded. Small automations and processes generate huge growth. Guys, that implementing automation to all new lead sources, leads that I had prior express written consent to send something to. That's the only reason I'm able to do that. But once you have that figured out and you can start automating a response to a client immediately, it brought a 60% growth for us in 2 months. It was a massive growth. And of course, we've refined it since then. So I tell people it probably doubled or tripled our volume. We were not, a couple months ago, we sold $1 million in premium in one of our property and casualty agencies. And I was blown away because that was 12 to 15 years in the making. And what I realized was the scalability with technology continues to just grow. So like the one thing that you implement 5 years ago gave us a 60% greater return the next month. And then it starts to compound after that. It literally is like compounding interest. It continues to compound. So I can't encourage you enough to find a basic automation platform. We use Go High Level. We're building technology, I'll drop that out there, that I think we'll do a better job at putting the warmest responses at the top of the list, because you saw some stops in there, right? Like stop, take me off your list, not interested, right? So we still have to weed through some of those before we get to the, yeah, here's my zip code, I am interested in a quote, or here's what's bugging me, can you help, right? So I would really encourage you to get a system that you can use to automate responses to new leads. It was a game changer for us, a game changer. So if you're not implementing that yet, is anybody implementing initial outbound messaging, both email and text, to new leads that come through?
I used to. I had a CRM system. I believe it was. I don't know if you know who Nato Guadalajara is, but
I do. Yeah, I thought it was NATO. I've seen him before.
It's NATO. So he's the founder of Fully Covered. So I was in that program, and he had his own proprietary CRM system. And this was like, I don't know, several years ago. I guess pretty much in the beginning phase of automation, or not automation, but AI.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember going through what you're going through right now, and it was very overwhelming for me because I'm not a tech person. And Cody knows this. When it comes to technology, I'm like right over my head, and I got so overwhelmed and so frustrated with it because it was just like spitting out automation, and people would respond back, and it would say something stupid back. I'm like, this is great, and then people wouldn't respond. So my experience with it was I got it, but I guess it just wasn't dialed in, where I wanted it to be.
Okay, so here's what you do when you start, because you're absolutely right. The same thing has happened to other people I've talked to. I started slower, which is why I didn't really feel that frustration as much in the beginning.
Yeah.
But so what you do is you take a specific lead source a specific lead source or one person on your team, Sean, where you can minimize all factors except for that one person. Because if you are testing something, you can't have a million different possibilities, because now it's hard to determine where it was broken, what wasn't working well. So find one lead source or maybe one person in your team to trial it, and also limit the number of leads going into it. Also turn off the AI response to the customer's response. Just set up a basic automation track, a workflow that sends one message out to every new client within 2 minutes of them hitting your system or something like that. Depending on the lead source, maybe there's a longer period of time there. But start there and take off all AI responses. If I'm being honest, we are using AI responses to the client response within so much amount of time if our staff doesn't respond. But that part's been a little messy for us. And I wish my brother would turn it off. I'm not managing the PNC agency as much anymore. I don't love it. I don't love it, but he's saying the data is there. He's a data guy through and through, and I trust him on that. He's like, Brooke, the positive responses are more than outweigh the negative. So start with a specific lead source or staff member to trial it first, and then just do one text and email template in there.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you for that.
Yeah, that should help a little bit. Anybody else using automation right now in that way to new leads coming in?
Are you tying anything with your infrastructure, the system that you're using to voice, like AI voice agents, or is it just text messaging? Okay, so they're not
text messaging and email right now, and we're not doing voice agents. I don't know that we ever will. I think that what we'd like to see with the tech that we're building eventually is where there's a training bot built into it, to where any new staff member or even a veteran is listening to the conversation and can prompt things on the screen to tell them how to respond to objections. So I'd rather that and be a real human doing the correspondence with a person. There is an AI voice answering our after hours calls and routing them appropriately. Anything licensed, we couldn't do anyway, right? Because all the work we do in both agencies, actual work, not admin work, would be licensed work. But even if so I heard that Allstate, did you see that Allstate, my partner, my business, one of them texted me yesterday that Allstate now has AI agents answering calls and closing deals, Sean.
Really?
Did you see that?
No.
Yeah, and they've got an EA channel, an exclusive agency channel. So those leads are going into, so the bots, the Allstate bots are closing deals, and now I'm assuming their EA channel is going to be like, what the heck, Allstate? You know what I mean? You're competing against us.
Yeah. Well, and then
I don't know. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
I'm wondering how scary that we're there already.
The licensing and all that, I wonder how that plays out.
I know, because they're closing the policies.
Yeah. Interesting. I wonder if they're the actual one like closing it, or they're having a licensed agent review it. I don't know.
That didn't sound right to me either. It was this guy that works for, I found, it was an article he found on LinkedIn, and he's a legit He's got a good following behind him, and I don't know. I need to dig into it more, but I believed it based on the article he shared and what he was saying about it. But you're right. Maybe there's more layers there, but it's coming. I mean, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It is coming. And so if we're not using this and trying to learn how to use it, we're going to be behind. So
Agreed.
anyway, all right. So back to this part. Yeah, basic automation to new leads scaled us by 60% by the second month of us using it, and it's compounded since then. We hit $1 million in premium in 1 month in one of our agencies. We used to only write about $80,000 in premium a month, I would say about 5 years ago. So that's it. That's the only difference. I mean, of course, we've hired more people, but we could hire more people because we have enough lead flow coming in and being worked appropriately to be able to do that. So there it is. Keeps leads warm when you're not able to work them. That's one of the number one ways we use automation. That was a game changer for us. In addition, follow-up is key. So we have tasks and reminders that pop up that help alert the team to follow up with the lead, because the longer it sits, the colder it gets. My first boss used to always tell me, he told me a lot of things that will just ring in the back of my head forever. And I love him for that because they were all such good nuggets. He would say, fortune is in the follow-up. So I think the newest study that I read probably 2 years ago now, so who knows what it is now with AI and everything moving as quick as it is, it's probably even more contact attempts, but it was 16 contact attempts before you convert a deal. That was the most recent research that came out that I've read. I'll have to look it up. I should have done that before this call, but I tell my team that you're not supposed to dead the lead, put it in a folder outside of your active folder that you're working until you have multiple follow-up attempts, because fortune is in the follow-up. Consistency wins. Yeah, go ahead.
For the deals that are not, your team is not closing, does it go into another cycle or another pipeline where it gets nurtured? And then how many touch points does it typically touch throughout 6 months or 12 months?
Yeah, great question. We have a workflow for we call it the dead to me recycle workflow. And so that has 15, I believe.
15. So I'm thinking about some of the, like Cody, Connor, and maybe even Matt and MD. Sarah, I'm not sure about your business, but with some of the leads in the CRM system, I'm curious if anybody else has a nurturing process where it goes out to them, and if they respond, it kicks back into your new pipeline.
Yeah. Anybody else do that?
Yeah, we're not able to access some of the AI tools right now through what we're doing, but we use Salesforce as our CRM. And so I just have kind of a personal system where it's typically between 3 to 5 touch points that span over a 2 week, 1 month, 1 month, 2 months is kind of the way I kick that out. And then at the end of that, if we're continuing to maintain contact, I'll keep it going. But if it's voicemail, no callback, then usually I'll release it at that point, because I don't have bandwidth just to keep chasing a million people that will never answer the phone. So
yeah. I'm right there with Connor. Since this new assistant has come in, she has just been killing it, and I think it's a lot of that human interaction and her showing how much she cares about giving people service. But gosh, hearing you, Brooke, say 16, that's incredible, because we freak out when it's like, man, we've reached out 4 times now. At this point, are we being a pest to them? Are we being annoying? Are we, so we question that. But from what I'm hearing for you, it's like, keep going.
We don't do a full 16 every time either.
Okay.
I would say majority of our team does about an average of 8 to 10. When I go back and look at their contact attempts, they personally do about 8 to 10 different touch points before a lead is dead, and put into a recycle holding path for 4 to 8 months down the road to recycle it again. Now, there's a couple things there. Well, remember too that it doesn't have to be 14, 15 times or even 8 times within 2 days. So it's okay to to hit them a couple of times, especially if they've told you there's interest, right? They've told you, hey, I'm interested in your product. So all you're doing is being persistent with follow up, and they're going. We always joke and call until they buy or die, right?
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is they're going to tell you, I'm not interested anymore. I'm good. We'll circle back maybe at Christmas time when I'm interested in the product again or whatever. But at least
So that's
there's a
lot of what we
contact
hear.
made. Most people won't be mad from what I've noticed. They respect that you're doing your job. But to be fair too, they're not always doing all those touch points. This one has probably almost 30 days of texting where we're waiting about a day in between each one. There's 14 messages being sent out, but not all in 14 days, right? So I think that it's over a period of time. And so it doesn't have to all happen at once. But and also they're not always doing that, right? There's plenty of leads that are not being worked fully. That is our process, and we try to strive toward that because we know the more contact attempts, the better the conversion opportunity. But it doesn't always happen. So I would say progress toward a larger number than 4 would be a good way to go.
Yeah, so we're averaging about 4 to 6. And
Okay.
I like your advice there on spreading it out, because sometimes that's what I'm finding is that if you're trying to pressure them in the first week of them being introduced to your company, it's kind of like, okay, now they've just become this vulture and they're not leaving me
Right.
alone. So I like your spread out. And we kind of have done that over the last year with email listings and just
Yeah.
kind of a monthly newsletter,
There you
something
go.
of that effect. So
Yeah, Cody,
Yeah,
that's
Brett,
what
Because you're saying-
especially with your stuff, you have so much volume with people and the product itself.
Yeah.
That yours makes sense to do that. But like with ours, I have no system because I am the system. I want to establish that relationship with them and be, on the phone in front of them, go meet them where they are and really build that piece of it. I don't really try to attack them from any other angle just because of the relationship that we want to build and establishing what they are. So yeah, I mean it's definitely
Very true.
And we've had people call us and did not use our service, and then 6 months later they received one of our newsletters and they're
Right.
like, hey, we're interested in service now. It's like,
yeah,
okay,
it's just
awesome.
and at that point,
Top of
it's
mind.
not really selling, it's just educating and enticing them for the product
Right.
and just staying in front of it, not really a salesy aspect. So yeah,
Right.
Cody, that's a perfect thing. It's like non-pressure, but make them jealous almost that they don't have it yet.
That's
The one thing,
awesome.
Cody, for me or for anybody, I do feel like, and I saw that in your flow there, Brooke, where it's like not every single phone call in a row, but like call, email, text, kind of like a 1-2 punch of different ways of going, because there might be some people who just aren't going to answer the phone no matter how many times you call them. But if you send them an email, they'll shoot right back on it. And then the other thing that I'll do sometimes if a lead is like kind of not interested, what I've never been told no on is, hey, I send out a quarterly update about things going on in the market. Is it cool if I add your email to my list? And then people are like, yeah, sure. They're saying it just to get you off the phone, I think, a lot of the times. But then you add them to a quarterly list, and then you're just the guy who sends them, and then it's automated. I have the email that just goes out. Doesn't matter who's on the list or not. And so that's one kind of easy way to.
But that's
keep it good.
value. That's value. And that's one thing I was going to say to you, Cody, going back to what Matt was saying too, is that in the automation we're doing too, it's not, are you ready to go today? Can we hop on a call? I can work up from the Medicare side, I can work up a customize roadmap for you. Shoot me over your zip if you're interested. Or, there's creative ways you can give them something and give value and education without touching base with them and remain top of mind without killing them with sales. Right. So I agree with
Oh, I
all
love
of that. Yeah. You do have to
Yeah.
be very creative with how you're reaching out. It needs to be educational. That's definitely something we've learned. You can throw in every once in a while, I've got some time now. Can you hop on a call after reaching out 6 times and not getting anything? But give them things. The second text in our main Medicare thread sends them a webinar. Like, hey, here's a free, 1, 2, 3 ABCs of Medicare webinar. It's confusing, like the alphabet soup. Hope it's something you can learn from. And that's just a give on the second day of our automation. And so giving them education and value is huge. And that's a good point. I'm glad whoever started that conversation said that. You should not have 30 days, 15 days in those 30 days where you're asking them every day. That would be annoying, to say the least. And then you won't have a good reputation after that. And also, it does probably depend on the industry and vertical you're in. I think that our frequent touch points for an auto quote or home quote or Medicare health insurance makes sense versus you trying to build a pool, and that's a $300,000 investment. There's just a lot more that goes into that. So probably different industries require different ways to different tactics to having to what your automation would look like. Still need automation. I feel like everybody needs automation to some level to make them more efficient. It just looks different.
For new customers that you onboard, that your employees on board, do you have an onboarding automation that goes out as well, like welcome checklist and contact information? Hey, by the way, we have socials. Here's our newsletter. Do you have like an onboarding 30-day for those customers that it automates?
I like the checklist idea. We don't have a checklist, but we do have an email and text that goes out that welcomes into the agency, gives the agency main line, and then tells them they'll be receiving a call from one of our onboarding specialists. And then we send a postcard out. That's automation too. Thanks.io. Thanks, like thank you, but thanks.io is, I'll drop that in the chat. That's a super helpful tool for us that we use. I want to say it's like $1 per outbound drop for a postcard. If you want to add special things to it, where is the chat in here? There we go.
It's so you said thanks to IO?
It's thanks.io. I just put it in the chat. Yeah. It's a really great tool for automating mailers out to a specific customer base. And it speaks directly with Go High Level, which makes it even better. So when we mark a lead as 1 or a contact as 1, like sold, it triggers something and sends it to thanks.io, and thanks.io sends out that welcome card with a picture of the partners welcoming them to the agency. And so that's a really helpful tool. Now, it'd be a little bit more manual for someone in your office if you don't have a CRM that successfully sends that information over. Someone would have to pull a spreadsheet of all customers sold that month or every week maybe, and then upload it in. But I can't imagine it taking much time. Once you have a template built and what cards you want to send out, it's just sending them out. So that's a good question. Yeah. I do like the idea of a checklist though. Like if there's a few things that we're going to need to discuss, here's, or that we may need you to complete. Here are some things to keep in mind. So that's a good idea.
Yeah.
We do have a recycle campaign. I showed y'all that. I think the key to, and I don't remember where I put this in my presentation, but it should have been in the beginning. Everybody, I believe, needs some form of CRM. I don't believe a spreadsheet is able to keep you organized the way you need to be organized to be able to successfully reach out to leads. It certainly isn't going to be able to do any kind of automation for you. So I really think that everybody needs a good CRM. We use Go High Level. I know a lot of agencies, Sean, use Agency Zoom, and we still use a little bit of Agency Zoom as we're transitioning. What do you use for your CRM?
So we used Pipe Drive. We used Pipe Drive. Then we went to Agency Zoom, worked really well. And then now we use InsuredMind.
Okay. I haven't heard of any of those, but they work. Do they have, is that where you tried the automation before?
Well, now InsuredMind, it has the automation. Like we can build out not only the onboarding, but what they call it, smart cycle. It's like smart cycle automation, where we basically move it. If they lost the deal, we put them into this nurturing campaign where it goes out, and I think it's anywhere from 9 to 12 touch points within 12 months. And if they respond, it comes back to the new pipeline. We also have an email campaign built out in there. So it's kind of all in one. It just just came out with an AI voice agent that we can build out. So it's pretty cool with all these additional features that are built inside. It's called InsuredMind.
InsuredMind. Okay. Cool. Yeah. I haven't heard of that one yet. Yeah. Anybody else use a CRM?
Yeah, we use Salesforce, which is one of the
Oh
kind
yeah,
of
you
the
said
big
that.
ones, but we've got a little bit bigger corporate structure than some of the small businesses.
Yeah, that's true. In the financial side.
You know,
Yeah.
one thing I've learned about the CRMs is and this is over my head. They're confused. Like CRMs are confusing to me. I'm so like in the past, I've just been like, oh, I know I need a CRM, and I've just used like surface level. But if you can find somebody that knows how to like actually manage a CRM, dude, you can be dangerous. And that's my wife. She has come in and really grabbed the bull by the horns. And some of the things that she shares with me, I'm like, okay, great. I'm glad we're 10
Oh,
years.
that's awesome. I
Yeah.
believe that about Kendra. She's a boss babe.
Yeah.
She gets in there and gets her hand. She's not afraid to get her hands dirty.
No. But it can be overwhelming, you know. I don't know if anybody else feels like that. CRM systems are very powerful, but it can be very overwhelming. And
Yeah.
Sean, I feel
Yeah.
this. I feel like I feel like I scratched the surface of what this can do. You know,
Yeah.
where like you can put so much information, so many
So much.
processes, so many action plans, so much stuff. And I mean, I use it to like log my calls and my to-dos in my schedule for the most part. But it's like I want to be more involved, but it's just, I'm kind of like you, where that's not natural to me to do that. And
Yeah.
so I'm doing pretty good
Yeah.
just to keep up with like
Yeah.
conversation log and such.
What
Paid
would you
for one for
what would
2
you say to that,
years, and
Brooke?
then like, what is this doing for me? Well, it was because I wasn't educating myself. That's why it didn't do much for me. But I haven't had one for quite a while now.
You know what I
And
would
I have
say
just
to that, because I think that is a very common, it's overwhelming. And that's the same thing with any kind of automation or AI. It's overwhelming. Where do I start? And so going back to like the basics, what I would suggest is get a CRM that has easy filtering ability. That is the number one requirement in a CRM, is to be able to separate your hots, like your hot leads, from your cold leads, from your recycled leads, right? So that you can at least have them sorted based on what stage of the sales process they're in. So find a system that does that for you well, because then if it's the end of the month and you're trying to close some stuff out at the end of the month, or a specific season of the year and you need to focus on a specific lead set, you can sort based off of stage that they're in, or lead source. I don't know if you get your leads from if people get their leads from different places. Just a very basic system to start, because once you get organized on where your leads are in certain parts of the sales process, I think you can add on top of that. But that's the first thing, is just getting yourself organized. Where are my cold leads that I haven't touched in a while? Maybe I can dump the 200 of these cold leads here. But you can't do any automation or even just a simple email without digging through a bunch of leads to find that cold lead if they're not sorted well. So I think sorting is probably the most important part of a CRM at more of a basic standpoint.
Yeah.
Um,
When you say sorting, do you mean tags on the type of leads in like a business owner or a flood customer, auto customer, Medicare customer? Do you mean tags? Is that what you mean?
You could do tags, but different, yeah, especially for you, Sean. On the PNC side, we don't have them sorted based off of different types of customer necessarily, but different type of lead, right? So this person requested a home insurance quote. So we have home insurance leads, auto leads. And then from there, we sort based off of lead source. On the Medicare side, we sort based off of lead source, because when I do an outbound dial to someone that found me online through Medicare Agent Hub, my listing there, I want to reference that when we do an outbound call to that client. So we sort based off of lead source on the Medicare side. On the PNC side, we're sorting based off of product type. So that again, that outreach, those first few seconds of the call or the text has to be specific to what the client reached out about. Otherwise, you lose them. It's even better if you have something you can confirm in those first few seconds of the call to remind them that you are real, that you're not a scammer, that they reached out to you, and here's the data you provided me to say that you requested my help. But yeah, from a standpoint, or from a lead system, a CRM, a customer management system, sorting capabilities, whatever you're comfortable with to help you sort easily, is probably the most valuable tool at a basic level. Because then you can take chunks of leads from there and do stuff with them, is what I would say. All right, we've got a few more minutes, I guess. We have recycle campaigns after the initial texting to the new leads that come in. We recycle leads, and the only reason we call them dead to me, I need to clarify this because internally it makes sense to the team, but it sounds so bad when I said it on that call. I made up this funny saying a long time ago because I kept telling the team, guys, a lead is not a bad lead because we have different filters. You don't sort a lead as bad unless it's like a bad phone number or the customer says F off. I don't want that client in my book anyway, right? So anybody that curses you out, put them as a bad lead, but a dead to me lead, let's call him dead to me. Jesus Christ resurrected from the grave. We're going to resurrect those leads. So not interested now doesn't mean not interested in 4 months when Geico raises their price to $400 a month, right? So they're
Yeah.
dead to me
Oh, it's
now,
so
may
good.
not be dead later. We can resurrect those, kind of like Jesus Christ, resurrected from the dead. So that's why I said it in their mind to get it to stick, the difference. So now we've
I'm
titled
really
everything.
glad you clarified that because I was totally thinking something totally different.
Yeah.
So
It
that's
sounds so
clever.
bad.
I love it. Yeah, I love that you
Resurrect.
clarified that.
I'm gonna steal that. Resurrect from the dead.
Jesus Christ
You
resurrected. We're going
explain
to
it to your
resurrect these
team.
leads.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they get it. Now they choose dead to me when it's just like, it was a decent conversation, but now it's not the time. We'll circle back later. It's a dead to me lead, not a bad lead. So anyway,
Wow.
thought that was kind of
So
funny.
good.
Needed to clarify because that could have sounded really bad, especially in sales. It's like, you're dead to me,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, like
Um,
we have a deal on ours when we have a client that is a pest or very picky, like we have a memo for only us to see, right, on one of our systems, and it's Razor Sync, but in there we have specific notes for clients. Like one, like for instance, we have an old lady that's very picky and only wants this specific tech to answer her calls or whatever. So like we state all of that in there so that we know who we're talking to or
Oh no, that's
so
smart.
on and so
That's
forth.
smart.
Yeah.
That's really smart. Yeah. That's awesome. Well, I mean, this is self-explanatory. Appointment alerts, I think, are huge. If you're an appointment-based company, insurance isn't always because it tends to be a little bit more transactional, but we try to add a lot more value to our clients. So we like to set appointments to show value in our time because we're the experts, right? We're the licensed agents. We're not just looking for the cheapest price here. We want to make sure the coverage is right. On the Medicare side, we want to make sure your doctors and your medications are covered. And so we set appointments. Those appointment alerts that come out show the client as soon as it's booked, it's happening. When your doctor's office sends you an appointment alert, you're like, oh, it's booked, I'm going. I just feel like it solidifies us as the expert, number one, that we're going to be there. We're going to call you at that time, so be ready. It just solidifies it. Missed call automation, of course, make sure you have something set up. If you don't, that sends, if you can, sends a quick note out when you miss a call. Sorry, it's after hours. How can we help? And that is, at least it secures the client from a missed call, from potentially being a dead lead to maybe reviving it the next morning when you get back in. We do a post-sell follow-up text and emails. We have a mailer that goes out. We talked about that. I remember Matt and MD telling me, Brooke, you've got to have more social proof. And they're absolutely right. That is where we've always been very weak. And it's because we don't have a master marketer working on our team. Maybe one day I can work with them. I know we're setting some stuff up to potentially do that because they're awesome. But they're right. And so what we've done is a while back we did this, but just a reminder, if you haven't on that post follow-up sale email, text, our post follow-up campaign, I think, has 3 to 4 messages that get sent out over the course of a week or two. One of them is asking for a Google review, and make it easy. Put a link in the text message or the email so they can click it and just go and leave you a Google review on your site. It's a convenience does drive action. Make it easy for them to do. And know your numbers. So as you're implementing new things, you've got to be able to track what it is, the success of what it is. We have dynamic reporting. I love our CRM for this. I think the next most important thing in a CRM, besides basic sorting capability, I would add is dynamic reporting, real-time reporting that shows you and your team, right? Shows your team what their numbers are, what their goal is, and how far they are to hitting it, and shows you close ratios, shows you conversion numbers, because then you can make decisions based off that data. If you don't have dynamic reporting, the honest truth is no one's going to take time to go sort through all of it. It's just data and it's just numbers on a page, and it drives all of us insane because if you're a driver, if you're a mover and a shaker, because we are probably all those types of people leading these organizations, getting in the nitty gritty of data drives us nuts. So dynamic reporting that's doing it for you based on the data that's in your system is key. This report I think is a game changer. This report that we've implemented on both our PNC side and our Medicare side is a game changer for our driven sales team members, because it allows them to see real time when they sell something, what they made off of that sale. So real time, as they go to put a sell in, they can go to their commission report and it shows them your commission was $1,433. Now it's $1,820 because of that deal you just put in. And if that deal you just put in was a $400 increase to your commissions, go find more of those. They start to see that. If they can see a real-time dynamic report for commissions, it drives them to do better because they can see real-time the impact of every sale. They can also see where they earn the most commission so they can go after that. And if they're earning more commission on that deal, the agency or the company probably is too, right? So I think real-time reporting is key also in a CRM. I have this throughout the entire presentation. Remember, people are your asset, not the technology you build, not the processes you build, not the companies or agencies you build, not the book of business that you build or the customer list that you build. It's your team. Because the only way you can scale anything you're doing is to have people and technology that's going to scale it for you. So don't forget that. And so make sure they have the tools to be successful if you want them to help you drive growth. And we're basically out of time. This is a dynamic report that we use as a agency, not individual numbers for people, but as an agency to strive toward a goal. It shows last month, what we're trending for this month, where every individual staff member is on that board. I just think it's huge with it feeds a friendly competitive environment, especially as a team goal, to drive effort toward a specific thing. And we're out of time, I think. I've got a few things about hiring and some automation and sites we use there, but maybe I'll dump that in the chat for y'all. We use ideal traits for hiring. And if I have 2 more seconds, I can show it to y'all.
What is ideal traits? Yeah, summary on that.
Yeah, it's a great tool. I have it pulled up and ready so I can show y'all. It's a game changer for us on the hiring side, because as soon as someone reaches out for a position, I'm like, hey, great. I'd love to talk with you. You sound like a rock star. Before our first meeting, we send out an assessment, and take it as honestly as you can, John, because if you do, I'll find the right seat on the bus for you. If you're not honest, or you blow through the 30-minute test really quickly and don't give real thought behind the questions, then I'm going to place you on a seat on our bus that you won't be happy. And if you're not happy, you don't stay. No one wants to stay somewhere they're not happy, right? So take it honestly. I think that one sentence is like one of the most important things I tell people, because then they really do take it honestly. And I can see if they're a closer, if they're a perfectionist. I'm not going to bring a perfectionist on most likely for a sales role. I'm going to look for a closer personality trait to be on my sales team, right?
Which one are you, Brooke?
I'm a sales leader.
Is that actually
Yeah,
a list? Okay.
It's a personality. Yeah, there's probably like 6 or 7, Sean, strong sales personality types inside of Ideal Traits. And do you know it was built by insurance agents? So you'll read through it, and it's almost as if it's meant for insurance agencies. So I don't know. I think it still shows you who's a seller and who's not, if you use it in other industries, which is why I'm showing it. But it does. It shows you what their motivation and drive. If they're strong in motivation and drive, which is usually a strong sales personality type. If they're more structured and routine and thorough and compliant, and they're stronger there, which this guy, look at him. He's got some strong, thorough, and compliance straight traits, but he's also really strong in motivation and drive. And so it helps you understand them a little bit better. And then in the interview, you read the summary to them, and then you say, does that sound like you? And if they're like, yeah, actually it does, then you know that you're, and then you can have a conversation around it. But that's been a huge tool for us. It's not really AI, right? But it's tech, and it's automated. I put them in here. It sends them the link to the assessment, sends them a follow-up email, sends them the offer letter. A lot of it is all built in. So it's been really helpful and streamlined. It honestly, what it does is it saves me time from or my HR lady from having to meet with every single person to determine if they're the right fit. From the very beginning, I can kind of have a quick conversation with them about the quiz if I don't feel like I have a spot at that exact moment for someone like that. And I can save an hour and a half of an interview. So that's been helpful.
Yeah.
And then, I think we're toward the end where I'm showing you how I use Claude Code how we use Claude Code and Claude, what we're prompting it to say, just basic stuff that I wish everybody could just trial. This was a prompt that I put in one of the first days I used. I think this was the first prompt ever I put in. It said, create me a training platform for my in-house insurance agents to use when onboarding. Look at all my LHB, local heritage benefits documents in the Google Drive under that LHB main folder that are relevant to us. Use the UI skill, the user interface skill, to make the user interface look appealing and easy to use. The only reason I knew to use UI, because most people wouldn't have thought to use that, I wouldn't have either, is because on the left-hand side of Claude, it shows you all the different skill sets. And I was like, what's UI? I was like, oh, user interface, make it appealing. So I put that in there. And then in like, I'm not kidding you, 3 minutes, it gave me this. I'm not kidding you guys. Three minutes. And it gave me a link. Look at this. I haven't touched this since it built it. I was blown away. All these different modules and courses, it pulled all my different links from the Google Drive.
Oh
And
my
you can
gosh.
like,
Wow.
you can go next, and then take the quiz. It created quizzes all based off of the info that was in there in the
Wow.
Google Drive. 5
Look-
minutes, it created all that.
And so you were able to take that and now you're sending those out? You're using those or you haven't yet?
I haven't yet because I want to refine it. I want to go prompt
Okay.
I'm going back to Claude. I need to go back to Claude, find that prompt. I think it was my first day of using Claude like 5 months ago, right? 4 months ago. And I need to go back to that and then start refining it by just saying simple things. It's all normal language, right? Like normal language built this. This one sentence or 2 sentences built that in 5 minutes. There, and look, it goes, here's your training platform, and you click it and it opened up that site. So I
Wow.
haven't edited it. I need to go back and prompt it again and say, okay, that's pretty good. Pat yourself on the back, Claude. But now add this specific document in, or let's expand. Can you make the quizzes 20 questions long each instead of 5? And then just you keep prompting it that way, and it builds. Like it actually builds platforms for you now, guys. It's
Wow.
crazy. Just using
That's
basic
incredible.
language, regular language.
It's
Yeah.
powerful. Man.
I know, it's crazy. It was insane. And then y'all know how to use data. I'm sure y'all probably pull data and throw data into Claude or chat or any of the AI tools. One specific example I used for that is I had Claude scan all the data from one of my online subscription sites that I had pulled to find the zip codes in Texas with the fewest Medicare agents in them with ads on that specific site so that I could target those specific zip codes and hopefully have a better bang for my buck. So you just got to get creative, but just ask it in simple language to do that exact prompt. Claude, find me the data find me the zip codes from this data list that it, from what you can find online. Now, sometimes it can't scan like Google. I'm still prompting it and learning how to do it right there, but it can definitely analyze and scan the data that you have. It actually can scan websites, and you got to be careful with that. That's why I have the note down there, because most sites will have a terms of service saying you're not supposed to be using screen scraping tools to pull information off their sites. But it absolutely can scan entire sites if you have the plugin for it. You just download the Claude plugin, put it on the site, and you ask it a question, and you see it moving through the site. It's insane. But yeah, I think the safer way to do it right now, and the way we're using it now, because I want to make sure that we don't void anybody's terms of use, is you download the information you're interested in and feed it through and have it analyze the data for you to find out, what lead source is my most profitable lead source. Download your QuickBooks reports if you have them sorted that way. Download any kind of report that you have, throw that in so they can see how much revenue you earned, and then what is your cost for how much did you spend on that specific lead source? And then it can show you, help you start analyzing where you're going to be strongest. So, yeah. And then we use my marketing, in-house marketing girl uses Gemini to test competitor ads. She threw that in there. She goes, hey, does everybody know how to use, do you think they know how to use, oh, look, Claude's on this specific tab right now. But you can find in Meta your competitors' ads. She told me that about a year ago, and I haven't been in here even to look, but you can look at your competitors' ads in Meta. Let me put this link in there for y'all that she sent me. I think it's this one. And so it's helpful if you want to search your competitors' ads. to see how they're performing. And then what she did was she prompted Gemini specifically and said, what is a good prompt to get me higher performing? What is a good prompt to be able to have a strategy to utilize ads, competitors' ads, and make my own from it so that they're more successful or something like that, right? And it gave her the prompt to use. So she plugged that prompt in and then it gave her the information. So just asking it questions is a good place to start. Like, how do I prompt you? How is the best way to ask you to do these things for me? And it'll tell you the best way to do it. But that's it. I just wanted to remind everybody, people are your asset. It has to be a people-driven organization first. It always has to be, because you go back to your people that are working the systems and the tech that you're building to make sure that it's working for them. Because if it's not working for them, they're unhappy, they leave. So you got to make sure that whatever you're building supplements what they're doing, assists what they're doing, and helps them become more efficient, doesn't take anything away from them. I think that's the key with AI. And I think that's why people think it's taking over the world. And it's not, it's replacing people, because we're not remembering that people are the ones that should be prompting and using it. It should not be using or taking over the people that it's working for. And so, all right. Thank y'all for letting me
Great job,
be in
Brooke.
here.
Awesome job, Brooke. That was great. Several
Thanks,
notes.
guys.
Lots of notes.
Awesome. Good. I hope so. I think it is overwhelming sometimes, but
It is. I mean, with all the notes I took while you were doing that, it's like I actually pieced it into like 3 different categories so that I don't get overwhelmed with it. But very good information there. So
Yeah.
especially on the follow-ups, like I'm going to restructure that, because I think that's a huge factor with us, and how we're doing it and the approach of which we're doing it is a big thing. Like, I think what we're